and welcome back to Flight Past. Welcome to this episode on Omaha Beach. If you're new to the channel, what we do is we use Microsoft Flight Simulator and its photogrammic imagery and satellite imagery to take a look at key moments in history and see how the role of terrain, topography and distance impacted the decisions that were made on those days. And so today we are at Omaha Beach and it's D-Day, 6th of June 1944. And if you've been watching the previous episodes, what you do is you find us on our way to try to locate a battery called the Maisy battery. The time is 8:24 and reports have come in from US troops on the beach that they're being bombarded from the Maisy battery. So this was one of the targets of some of the Rangers. Once they've got to the Pointe du Hoc, they were to move on and take out this battery. And I can show you some maps. This here is the events on the day on the beach. And as you can see, quite a lot of the events occurred on the main progress was made on the eastern side of the beach. This is the plan that they wanted to achieve. So it was they wanted to actually push about 8 miles, about 5 miles, 8 kilometers into the interior. That was the plan. But what we're trying to do is locate, if you look on the left-hand side of that map, there's a circle there. And this is the Maisy battery location, and we'll try and find that. So we're flying now over Pointe du Hoc. This is where the Rangers have got up to. And we're heading now, this town up here is called Maisy. So that seems like a... we're in the right area. By the way, if you notice my erratic flying, it's because I'm trying to do everything. So it turns out some of these major batteries are, they're known by the Allies. And especially Pointe du Hoc, that was an obvious one. But on the day, there was token troops assigned there. And the Maisy battery actually consisted of 3 batteries. One was called Les Perruques, another one was La Martinière, and the other one was the Foucher Farm. And the Perruque battery was designated WN83. So remember, back at Omaha we were talking about WN74. Well, this is 83. Now what we can do is try and find it, and I believe It's this cluster of buildings just here where the white dot is now. And try and see if we can see the other two. Let's just pause here whilst we can. Okay, so we know from our talk which we did at the Coastline Peninsula that the Germans like to have batteries reasonably close to each other because they could provide like an armored communication network, which meant that one battery could do the fire control for other batteries. And that was what we saw at Azeville and the Crisbeck battery. This is looks like this is the battery here. You can see the trench systems in this area here. And so this would have been probably radio signals from Omaha. They would have fire control, and you can probably we'll talk about the Verville Church Tower might have been an artillery observation post, and these could therefore target the beach. Probably that's about 8 miles away, maybe a bit more, but it had the ability probably to hit Utah Beach, which you can see over there on the coast there. Turns out that this WN-83 had 655mm First World War French field howitzers. And the other batteries had 405 pieces. And there's also 450mm pieces at the Foucher farm. So we try to do a recce. By the way, we do a reconnaissance mission on Twitch, and we did one yesterday. And we were looking around trying to find the other batteries, but I might just see if I can Google it. See if we can find the location. I think it all comes under the same name. If anybody knows or been there, please let me know if you know where these other batteries are, or if they're all on the same site. Just see if I can quickly. I'll just quickly see if I can find. Okay, so we've got W83. Let me. Okay, I've got a map here now. So W83 is this place here, and the other two are inland a little bit further, and they were designated 84 and 85. Now, of course, there might not be any evidence. This could be it here. It depends how permanently entrenched they were. 84 was focused on the Via estuary. So you can. This is so if this is 83 here, we're looking possibly at this point here. Might be one. Can't see. Some of these circles look like cow pens rather than. Okay. I think we're looking in these areas here. There might. I think this possibly might be one here, and it makes sense that the other one is probably in this area here. But you can see how the Germans have grouped them together. This allows combined fire control to occur. So whatever's happening on Omaha Beach, but they're saying this Maisy battery, which is this whole group here, they're being targeted from here. So they're firing from this position here to that bay over there, firing a howitzer. So cool. Right, let's jump back in. And we'll head back to Omaha. So the time is 8:24 when that was happening. 8:25, the Germans are reporting that WN62 and WN61 are being attacked from both the rear and the front. So if you remember, they're the Vistander's nests that are on the Fox Green, Fox Red sectors. And we're also getting reports here at about the same time that the communications with Port-en-Bessin is interrupted. So there was a major observations post there, and they can getting reports in, and then that reports are being broken. So it shows that the fighting is getting very close for them. 830 Grenadier Regiment 915th begin to counter-attack on the WN60, which was the one that was the first one to be attacked on top of the bluff at around about 8 o'clock. Any questions? Just fire them at me. Well, by the way, if you have a question, then do ask it. It doesn't matter if I don't see it now. I'll see it later, and I can come back in a previous, in another episode and have a look at it. Anything you want. We've also got a Discord channel. You can see it in the profile. You can join that and help produce the show. You can add any information that you want to for us to investigate. Let's change the scroll. So we're getting to around about 8:30 now in the morning. 8:57, the 726th Grenadier Regiment reports that 30 tanks have landed between WN 35 and 36. So we're talking down at the Fox Green sector. And the artillery regiment, the 352nd Artillery Regiment, they're struggling to keep in contact with WN 60. So that looks like the first Bestandenes to fall. 9 o'clock, there's a counter-attack back at the Pointe du Hoc. The 916th, the first company of the 916th Infantry, they counter-attack at Pointe du Hoc, but that attack is repelled. And at 9 o'clock, finally, the WN 60 is silenced, and this enables the F1 draw in Fox Red to be opened. So we'll fly down there and have a look. So this is WN 60 coming up on our right, and the Americans have got up onto the bluff. They've come in behind and in front of it, repelled, and managed to capture this. And this is protecting this draw that we were talking about. Okay. (9:15). We get the report. The Germans report. The 352nd Infantry Division are getting reports of the loss of WN 65, 68, and 70. So you can really get the sense now that the crust of the defense is starting to falter. WN 65 is down this end here. It's opposite. So this is the American cemetery we can see on our left here. Just at the end of the cemetery, on the top of the bluff, is WN 64, and opposite is WN 65. So they're reporting that these 65 has been lost. And then, which is this here, where the white dot is now. And then 68 is up this end here. And we're talking on this bluff here, which is the Les Moulins draw, and it's this one here, I believe. So let's just remind you with the notes. So as you can see there, we're talking in this sort of middle section now, and you can see that the most progress, initial progress, the breach of the defences is occurring from the sort of centre to the eastern side, concentrating around the Colville draw and Les Moulins draw. So time is now 9:17, and this is when the BBC announce the landings. The breaches are starting to begin to happen, but there's still strong resistance. 9:20. Major General Clarence Hubner orders the recommencement of the naval barrage. He orders this despite risk of friendly fire. But he feels it's necessary, and the barrage occurs for another 28 minutes. 9:20, we find that the Longues-sur-Mer battery is finally silenced. Most of these batteries are sort of like they fire and then they're targeted back again. They manage to get them sorted out, then they can fire again, and it goes on. It happens a lot. We discussed this when we were talking about the Azaville battery or the Crispec battery, similar thing. If you weren't at the beginning of the stream, we can just show you where this Longues-sur-Mer battery is. Down below us now is Port-en-Besson. And by the way, I'm probably killing these French pronunciations. (9:25) as well. The 352nd Artillery Regiment reports the loss of WN 35 and 36. And by 9:55, all communications between the 352nd Infantry Division and the 916th Grenadier Regiment on Omaha have been cut. Has anyone seen a gun battery? Let's change the scroll as we look. Okay, here it is. You can see it now. It's just over here on our left. So this is knocked out before 10 o'clock in the morning. We can see it just here, look. this clump of buildings here. Okay, so 10 o'clock in the morning, we resistance is still heavy. US destroyers are moving in to within half a mile of the beach, risking of grounding. They're trying to give isolated pockets of troops fire support. A lot of it is observing the troops, observing where they're shooting, and then providing support to the place. So the troops will be almost indicating where they want the fire to be directed to. The 1st Battalion of the 116th Regiment, at around about this time, they get to the top of the bluff at Dog White, and rather than going along the trench line, they move inland and head towards Verville. And at the same time, WN-64 is silenced. Let's head back. On the way, 10:15, by the way, there's two 76.5mm guns at the WN-62, and these are the ones that protect the western side of the Colville Draw, and they're taken out. They're taken out by naval gunfire. And at 10:30, there's a couple of 75mm guns that are at the Pointe du Hoc. They're taken out by USS McCrook. So we can see here, again, on the nose is the Colville Draw. And right on this edge here is the WN-62. So these are where the two 76.5mm guns are taken out by naval gunfire. And this was at 10:30 in the morning. So WN-60's been captured. They've knocked out the 88mm WN-61. The two 76mm has now been taken out at WN-62. WN-64, which is here on this edge of the cemetery, and this is easy red. This WN-64 is destroyed, or taken out. And that one was at around about 10 o'clock. So 10 o'clock, as I say, up ahead is where the dot is now. This is dog red, and then you have dog white and dog green, and so the 116th, the 1st Battalion of the 116th managed to get up this semi-draw, I suppose it's called. I don't know really what you call it. It's a thick pathway, and managed to get on top of the bluff here and push on to the village of Verville, which we can see here. on the edge opposite WN64, so just where the dot is now, this top bit here. This is WN65. This is the what's known as the below us is the E1 draw, the Moulin draw. So the WN65 is stormed by US troops at 10:30. And so that's this it's this area here on our just below this area here. And then at 11 o'clock, the USS Thompson attacks the radar station at Pointe de la Percée, which I believe is this promontory here. And we're going to have a look at that. This is the USS Thompson uses 127mm shells. I'm not sure there's much to see on this promontory, but we'll and I do believe it is this point here. Let's just pause here, jump out. It's one of these areas here. If it's a radar station, it would be right on the edge, wouldn't it? There's some sort of markings here. Looks like some remnants. There's some sort of building there. Another one there. Okay, I knew there wasn't going to be much probably on that. Okay, so let's head back. 11:27 now in the morning, and then 916th Grenadier Regiment are reporting that the US attackers are now in control of the heights above the beach, and this is when the commander of the 352nd Infantry Division, Lieutenant General Dietrich Kreis, he orders a counterattack. Let's change the scroll. So we're getting to 11:45. The 1st Battalion of the 18th Infantry Regiment of the 1st Infantry Division come ashore at Fox Green. Back at Pointe du Hoc at 12 o'clock, the last Germans in their observation post surrendered to the Rangers, and Colonel Rudder sends his message back to the fleet, which says, arrived at Pointe du Hoc, mission complete, urgent need of ammunition and reinforcements, many losses. The Germans at this point as well are running short of ammunition. There is a battery called the Huteville battery, which is located to the southeast of Colville. We could try and see if we can see that. I won't look it up, we'll just see if we can spot it from the air. And they start refusing orders to fire because they're running out of ammunition. They can only fire one 105mm gun at a time. And at this stage, the Americans are starting to dominate the heights above the beaches. Let's swoop back around. Let's get a bit of Huey thwop going. So below us is Colville. And so these heights that you can see, the Germans are talking about are below us now. And with the 18th Infantry Regiment, the 1st Infantry Division arriving, they're pushing straight up and in onto the heights and then on towards Colville. And we get reports about 12:15. The US troops arrive at the Church of Colville, and this is this building right here below us now. So they get here at 12:14. .23 was when the 18th Regiment of the 1st Division clamber up the bluffs. One o'clock now, so things are moving on quickly. 1 o'clock, the WN 72 is becomes under US control. This is one that is attacked from the rear. It's one that was causing 116th Dog Greens a lot of issues. It was on the left slope as you entered the draw, so that comes under US control. At the same time, Colonel Riddle then back at Pointe du Hoc, he gets the message back from the fleet saying that no reinforcements are possible because all the Rangers have now landed at Omaha. Now we know that General Omar Bradley was concerned, let's say, about the way that the invasion on this beach was happening, thinking possibly at one point of calling it off. Not sure how true that is. That might be something that was added later to show that he had concern for the casualties. But he receives the first reports at 12 o'clock. Between 1 o'clock 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, he receives the reports that the soldiers are on the bluffs and pushing on inland. And let's move on now to the last scroll. 41 minutes past 1 in the afternoon. The resistance at Dog Green, which was below us, Easy Green, Easy Red, and Dog White has finished. There's no more. Omar Bradley receives a message on his flagship, the USS Augusta, which says that troops previously stopped on beaches Easy Red, Easy Green, Fox Red. Progress in on heights behind beaches. The 726th German Grenadier Regiment reports that they've seized control of Colville again. So there's a to and fro going on in this village here. And 13 minutes past 2, the USS Harding takes out the church tower at Verville. So let's have a look at that. The church tower was believed to be holding artillery observation units. So the Maisy battery might be using their reports to zero in on landing craft and things like that. I think we had a look at the this church in the recon yesterday, and from the height it looks like they wouldn't be able to see the beach itself, so any observation that was going on from this church would likely be guiding artillery onto ships, landing craft approaching the beach. If I can remember where it is. Okay, let's just pause here, jump out. Yeah, so this is the church tower here. Now, I think the heights of these buildings are pretty accurate. So you wouldn't be able to see the beach itself. So if you were doing observation, then you would likely be trying to put artillery onto approaching landing craft and ships, and a radio signal from here back to Maisy, or if there was any batteries behind, you could guide them from here. So you can see how USS Harding says, yep, this place has to be taken out. At this point, the Germans are... the commander know that it's a matter of time, stalling. So they are constantly telling their commanders that they need to counterattack. And this is because they need to delay as long as possible so that they can bring up their own reinforcements. So the 916th German Grenadier Regiment counterattacks the strong points at WN 62 and 64. And also at this time, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we get more reports of American destroyers approaching the shore. Remember, the tide has come in. It's probably on the way back out again now, but they're getting as close as possible to give fire support to these guys as they're being counterattacked. The 960, this is WN 64 by the way, so that was counterattacked at around about 3 o'clock. So you can sense the sort of melee going on at this time. The counterattack at Colville at this point is beaten back. That was by the 916th. And then I thought what we'd do is we will... you can have a look at these notes here. You can see this is the position that the Americans got to at the end of the day on D-Day. And I hope you enjoyed that. I was trying to give this sense of what was happening over the course of the day. A lot of Omaha is about the initial ramp going down and of course the terrible casualties. But you do get the sense of the eventual overwhelming waves of troops arriving and pushing up on a piece of coastline. I think that I believe the defenses were. I think we might be talking something like 1,000 Germans who were initially in these positions along this piece of coastline here. So it was a thin crust of defence, and strong to begin with, but with waves and waves, and you throw enough resources at a sector, they eventually crumbled. And of course, once one element is taken out, it makes it easier for the next wave to come in. Take a position out, a strong point gets rolled up. It means that gaps form, and the Americans can exploit those gaps. But as you can see when I showed that map, the Americans are in control of the Verville Draw and the Colville Draw by the end of the day. In fact, all the exits are in their control. So I just thought I'd leave this and fly back. I'll leave this episode here at this point, and I will show you WN 62, which is just to our below us now. And this is the time is 26 minutes past 3 on the June the 6th, 1944. Let me just bring the helicopter down here. And this WN 62, there is a German soldier called Heinz Spelek, and he is the last defender of this position here, just off our right hand side. And he abandons his post at 26 minutes past 3. And he has fired, according to him, 12,500 rounds of his ammunition for his K98 rifle and his MG42 machine gun. Which is pretty incredible. So this is take an estimate of where his position might have been. So it's somewhere here. He's looking down on the approaches here, and 12,500 rounds is fired down on this section of beach, which is quite incredible. But at initial wave starts, 6:30, 6:45, something like that, and then 8 hours later, this position finally falls. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was the end of this live stream on the timeline of Omaha Beach. This will be split up into little digestible amounts and put out on the channel. If you like this, please give me a like and subscribe. I don't mind, if nobody watches. I don't really mind if nobody likes or subscribes, because I kind of enjoy talking to myself, and I enjoy doing these things. But if you did, then it's something I can justify to my partner that I can carry on doing it. This is I think we'll leave Omaha now. We've done quite a lot on Omaha. Hopefully I've done it justice. In the next live stream, which will be next week, probably on Tuesday, we'll be looking at Gold Beach, which is up the coast a bit. And after that, we'll then look at Juneau, and we'll end up at Sword. And then we'll do a different subject after that. I think one of my passions is Waterloo, so I think we'll look at Waterloo. Tomorrow I'll be on my sister channel, my other channel, which is the Minecraft one, where I build historic buildings, and I'll do a live build talk on Salisbury Cathedral. So if you're interested in that, I'll put up probably postcards in this area somewhere, and you can click on that and find me there. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time.